Alright, I think we're good. Do-do-do. Alright, I believe we're going. Alright, okay. Let's finish this game off. Okay. Difficulty can be changed at any time. If only the game would load. There we go. Come on, come on. There we are. Okay. Hello, January. Pretty sure I already built the device. Yep. Alex's army key. Alright, so I got both of the army keys. So if I wanted to blow up the place, I can. I thought I gave him this. Damn it. Oh well. Jesus, that thing out there is just causing mayhem. Sorry, January, but you have to do that. I have to do this. What the fuck? What the? I've done this before. What achievements have I done that I've done before and yet? No, I haven't done that. No. I've tried my best not to do that, but some humans still die. That's hard. You mimic a mimic. That'll probably be a fun one to do. How would you manage to do that? Intrigue on Talos 1. Okay. But like seriously, I've killed January before. It's like one of the endings. In the end, you meet up with Alex and January in the on the captain's on the bridge controls, and there you meet up with Alex and January if they're still alive. Jesus Christ, that sounds terrifying. And if they're still alive, you meet them there, and you can either in January tries to knock out Alex, trying to convince you to blow up the ship, or to, well, it depends. If you don't put in the arming keys to blow up the ship, I'm pretty sure Alex is the one that kills January. But if you put in the arming keys and don't put the null wave device on the heart of the coral, January knocks out Alex using a taser. And then which you set the place to blow up, and then you try to save as much people as you can. If you have set up the... Whoa, 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 whoa! Things are going down! Haha, bitches. go. Boy, they're just everywhere now. There's another one? Oh well, don't care. Moving on. This might actually be a small, short stream due to the fact that things are not... Ooh, I need to wait for this ability to come back. There we go. Bam. Knock that out. One shot, baby. Oh boy. Alright. Part of the coral's right over here. Yeah, well, I'm just running past things. I don't really care anymore. I'm too overpowered to be killed by this.
Microgravity detected.
Alright. It says use the scanner. It's like, it says it right there. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa.
And another dose of Morgan Cellite. Do it.
We're seeing more of the ending cutscene stuff.
Endurance, come to the bridge. We can finish this thing once and for all. Gravity detected.
They're everywhere. I need more bullets. What am I hearing? Is it that? Oh, I'm gonna have to deal with the Portuguese, aren't I? That's if I go the other way. Whoa! Ah, no! Oh, there you are. Whoa! Motherfucker! Die! Where you going? Alright, that should be all of them. Music's gone crazy! We know you do not missed me. Yeah, this is gonna be a very short stream. Saying I'm gonna get back to the... Yeah, captain's quarters. Control deck? I don't know. Main bridge? Although I'll be talking about like what I think of what really happened in the game and such afterwards, because it's very fascinating. It's very fascinating. So there's 3 end scenarios for the game, even though there's only 2, really. There's only 2 real end things. But depending on how, but those 2 end game scenes, they change, the end game scene changes depending on what you do in the game. Ouch. Alright, I need to go back up to the Arboretum. And I didn't get all the stuff done, so not a lot of this stuff will be shown. Like, I didn't get Michaela's thing done. I don't think I actually completed Dr. Igwe's stuff, so you know, I still have his item that he wanted. But there's 3 endgame scenarios that you do. 1, you blow up the place. 2nd, you blow up... No, you don't blow up. You set off the null wave and destroy and kill all the Typhon. Or 3, you use Alex's escape pod to escape the Talos 1. Which I could do. But I'm not gonna do that. So, you know, I would have to go back to the crew quarters to get his his escape card.
Microgravity detected.
Okay. Wrong way. Always get turned around. It's kind of weird how there's microgravity here. Whoop, no, I wanted to use the brakes. The bridge. Warning, hull integrity failure. How would that stop gravity? That would stop, like that would get rid of the atmosphere, the breathable oxygen, but that's about it. I could have gone here too if I wanted to grab extra supplies, but there's no real need. Yeah, that's where I want to go. Escape pods. Yeah, I think I'm good though. So normally you'd meet Alex in January here if January is still alive and things. Whoa.
Morgan, we're ready. I rigged the main con terminal to trigger the null wave device. It should only take a few seconds for a signal to propagate through the Coral and lobotomize every Typhon on Talos 1, including the big one outside. The rest of us should get away with a mild headache. I'll let you do the honors, but you better hurry.
Well, one in scenario. And la-boom. Whoa.
What is a neuromod?
What was that light for?
It's both an easy answer and a complicated one at the same time. It is the future, today. More importantly,
I think that was the shuttle.
Past, today. This is the work TranStar does. Every employee working together. It's immortality, and it is beautiful.
All right. The biggest twist and surprise of the game. The end credit. No, the end scene. Come on, not end credit. Come on. Or is this gonna be... This song is very ironic, seeing how this game is, in fact, a mind game. After we get through the credits. So that was one of the end scenarios. You set off that, which is probably the most successful out of all of them. If you escape, the Typhon win. If you blow up the ship, the Typhon have a chance of surviving. Setting off the null wave is probably the most plausible way to kill all of them without mimics. without leaving any of them survive. Because like an explosion, if one of them lives, they win. The null wave would kill any of them in the general facility, so there might be still some life elsewhere. Yeah, we get to see the takeover in live action. Can I skip this? I don't think so. Yes, I can. The actual end game. The actual end scene. After the credits roll, we find out that this was just a mind game.
It's finished. How did it do?
Look at my arms.
Activation of the mirror neurons is promising. Empathy quotient shows to be exceptionally high.
It probably thinks it was dreaming, that nothing mattered.
You're assuming it thinks like us.
Its life depends on it. Ours too. It all comes down to the choices it made.
It saved me from the cargo container. I would have suffocated otherwise. It installed multiple Typhon-based neuromods.
No, it did not.
It could mean an instinctive return to its own kind. Or an attempt to integrate its dual natures. But its most surprising act was sparing Dar, while perhaps for purely selfish reasons. This, at least in principle, enabled others to escape Talos 1.
Michaela,
Sorry, Michaela, you died.
I died. Perhaps it could have prevented it. I
could
know.
have.
Then, there was a man in Psychotronics, Ingram.
would you let it live?
Yes.
I let him live.
Sarah, you're next.
The situation in the cargo bay was bad. None of us would have survived without its help. And it destroyed a large number of Typhon across the station. That has to be a good sign. Further, it thwarted Dar's attempt to use us as hostages. If it were one of my officers, I would give it a commendation.
Danielle, what do you say?
Danielle.
It found me. It didn't need to.
Oh,
but
her!
it did. By then,
Completely
it had
forgot
already
about her.
stopped Volunteer 37. Hard to say why. A
Because
lot
I
of
knew.
humans controlled by the Typhon ended up dead. Not that it was easy to avoid, but I think it's worth the risk.
In the end, he chose to activate the null wave device. Why? To preserve the Typhon technology? We can't really know what its motives were for anything it did.
But we have to make a choice.
Like if you see my
You
arms,
can hear us.
like look at
can't
that. Yes, I can.
You? Here. I want to show you something.
It's like, yeah, if you look down at my arms, you notice that they're little Typhon-y. This is why I said that anything in the game didn't really
What you
mattered.
experienced was a reconstruction based on Morgan's memories.
See? Everything was a simulation. It didn't really matter. It was a mind game.
Is the world today. We spent years trying to put what you can do into us. We never tried putting what we can do into you. Until now. You're the bridge between our species. I need to know if you see us. I mean, really see us. Take my hand if you do.
Okay, so this is the actual scenario. I can kill them all, or I can join them. The real first choice. Seeing how all my choices were trying to save people, I'm gonna take his hand.
We're gonna shake things up. Like old times.
Lowest difficulty normal. Oh, come on. Yeah. Humans rescued 18. Humans killed 1. Again, I tried to save her. I didn't know that that fucking thing was gonna show up. So, like, this game is rather fascinating to me for several reasons. Like when I first watched like Markiplier playing it and other videos of this, game, I was super fascinated. Like, I really wanted to learn what was happening, the lore and happenings of the game. And then I saw the ending. And most people, from what I understand, decided to throw everything that they thought about the game, that they were learning up to that point and theorize and everything out the window, because guess what? That didn't matter. In the end, everything you did in the game was a simulation. It didn't change anything. All you were doing was playing the mind game, as the song in the credits were saying that this is a mind game, because it is. Everything was happening in your head. It's a simulation. None of it was real. That because it was a mind game, that all the lore and everything that they learned did not matter. Which I have to say I do not believe. Because as Alex said just in that credit scene, everything from that simulation was based off of Morgan's memories. So Morgan did actually go through this type of scenario, which is very fascinating, because then we have to theorize, what would he have done that would have led to this event occurring, where Alex is the only one alive, the planet Earth has been taken over by the Typhon, by the coral, by everything, and now he's trying to save humanity by doing the one thing that he did not want to do when he had the chance. Because there is a recording in the game where Alex, Morgan, and Dr. Igwe are talking about, well, Morgan and Alex are having an argument about integrating human neurons into the Typhon instead of like the opposite of what they're doing now with the neuromods, taking the Typhon cells and putting them in humans. Taking Typhon, putting him in humans. Instead, taking the human and putting it in the Typhon, just like Alex did then with this simulation that he did with the send credit stuff. He did not want to do it because it would be, for him, it would have been a waste of money, a waste of time, a waste of resources to do this when they are already doing the opposite. And Morgan and Dr. Igwe wanted to do it because it's just like, hey, if something goes wrong, if we can manage to pull this off, we can actually make the Typhon not try to kill everyone. And in the end, Morgan probably went into the sim labs. Well, he most likely did, because that's what happened in our simulation. He probably got mixed in with that, started losing himself due to the constant installation of neuromods, removing of the neuromods, which just completely erased was just slowly erasing his memory, his personality, everything. Eventually probably left him an empty slate in the end. And then the Typhon broke containment. They broke containment, they started taking over the ship, and Morgan's backup plans of things like January, December, if that's what he called them at that point, they kicked in. He got out. The most likely case that I can think of to where the Typhon survived and took over Earth was probably that Morgan did his best to, well, there's several scenarios. Two possible ones. There are many more, but there's only two that really matter. One possible scenario for what actually happened that led up to that point. Morgan, following his instructions that he played out in his backup plans, like with January, blowing up the station, which he probably did. The station was blown up. But again, since the Typhon are extraterrestrial beings, if that is the best way to put it, blowing them up is not going to kill them. something will survive long enough. Seeing how they can survive in outer space, they will survive and make it back to Earth. Due to gravity, due to whatever, due to like people going back and forth and things, they would eventually make it back to Earth and start the whole process over again, and which means we lost. The other scenario, Morgan failed in trying to blow up the space station, or failed any other attempts to stop the Typhon, and they won that way. But seeing how everything was based off of Morgan's memories, he probably succeeded, and that's how things came about. So there's still a lot of lore, but you have to actually go digging in the game to find it. And then from what I understand, when most people finally get to that end scene where they find out everything was a simulation, everything in the game was fake, then they take all that lore that they dug so deeply to find, they just throw all that away. It's like, no, sure, it may have been a simulation, but that doesn't mean that some of it is not still true. Like, we know that there are mimics, we know that there are phantoms, we know that there are electric phantoms, we know that there are fire phantoms, we know that there's electric phantoms, we know that there was a nightmare. We know that there was a giant Typhon that is basically like the Queen Typhon, if that's a good way to put it, that are basically controlling the Typhon, or if the Typhon are just basically a giant hive mind. From what we learned about the Coral, like there's still a lot of information that is still usable, even if it was displayed inside a simulation. I think I got my point across. Okay, now let's talk about like the other scenarios. Like, again, I said there's 3 end scenarios before you get to that, before you learn everything was a simulation and things. The one where I digested setting off the null wave device, possibly the best way. That was the reason why I picked it, because it like at first I was like, I'm gonna just blow up the place. I'm not gonna try to save anyone because I know everything it's not gonna matter, because in the end it's a simulation. But it's just like I did this to prove a point, using null wave to prove a point, because like in the end, blowing up the station is not going to work. I know it's not going to work because in the end, the Earth was still taking over. The Typhon are rather resilient. They learn, they adapt, they evolve just like we do. And they have the natural ability to actually adapt very quickly. Very quickly. Like, we had them in containment, nope, they developed mimics, and boom, now they're able to infiltrate wherever they need to be. Hell, mimics was even, the mimic was even already a thing when we first ran into the Typhon. Like, there is a video of, like, a rock or something floating past an astronaut, and then boom, it turns into a mimic, and then it starts attacking the astronaut. That's how we first ran into them. So like they already had the ability to manage to get through everything that we threw at them. So like that's why I chose to go with the null wave, even though at first I was like, hey, let's blow up the place, it's not gonna matter. But it's just like I chose the null wave to prove a point. Like, in the end, the null wave was probably the best choice to kill all the Typhon. Blowing up the station is not going to stop them. Using the null wave was probably the best way to do it. Sure, eventually there's still probably way more out there in the deeps of space, and they would eventually make their way back down here because they know something happened. A giant Typhon that they were probably in connection with suddenly boomed out of existence. So like in the end, that was the thing, but it's just like that's one scenario and scenario. The other scenario, blowing up the station, you leave nothing behind. the people, if you set up the ability to allow them to escape using the shuttle, people would manage to use that and escape. You would see that flying off, and then the station blows up. That's probably what we saw in that scene with the blue fire thing, blue comet that flew off when the null wave gone off. I'm not sure about that, but yeah, there's that. And the last end scenario, which actually pulls you out of the simulation, is if you use the escape pod, Alex's escape pod. The whole reason why they were doing that simulation was so they can find out if you had empathy for other creatures, because the Typhon don't have that, and that's what they were trying to accomplish in that with the simulation. They wanted to see if you had empathy. And you possibly don't have that if you try to escape on your own and things. So when you did that end game scenario, it would pull you out of the simulation. They would talk, and it's just like, nope, this one will not have to do. They kill you, and then they bring in another Typhon and try again. As far as I know, they possibly tried this over 100 times, trying to get this to work over and over and over and over again. And in the end, it was that one that finally managed to do it. That's why we were getting those flashbacks and things saying, don't believe them, they're trying to do that, kill them all, and other things. It's just like, it was very interesting, because that was at that point the Typhon DNA was like fighting back against the human DNA, but in the end they managed to win it out and managed to do the simulation, which is very interesting. It's still very interesting. I don't know how Moon Crash plays into this, like in terms of story, but I think it doesn't, seeing how it's mainly, from what I know of Moon Crash, it's just like you do a simulation. You try to survive on the moon with the Typhon everywhere trying to kill you, and each simulation you can try again and again and again and again. You die, the simulation ends, you go back into the simulation, now you have everything that you had in the previous run to do better, and eventually you beat the game, you beat the simulation. It just depends on how many times it takes for you to do it to get to beat it. Which I'm not all too interested in, which is why I haven't purchased it. Like, playing the game itself is fun and very interesting, especially if you go off from the main objective. Like, the game is very open world. Like, as long as I have the correct key cards and enough hacking and enough leverage, I can get anywhere in the building. Like, at one point I mentioned, when you get to the guts, you can either go up to the Arboretum or down to the cargo bay. When I first played the game, I wanted to find everything. So I went down, like, I went to places that I weren't even supposed to go to, way ahead of the schedule. Like, I went to the hardware labs before I was told to go to the hardware labs. I went down, I instead of going up to the Arboretum with the guts, I went down to the cargo bay and did everything down there. And then I went up to the Arboretum. Instead of going down to deep storage, I went straight to crew quarters. Because again, at this point, I already knew what was in the game from watching YouTube, like YouTube videos and stuff in the game. So I was like, I already knew where the general stuff was. So it's just like, I knew where I can break the game in terms of like progression gates and stuff. So it's just like, instead of go that way and get that, I'm gonna just go straight where I need to go and do other things. And that's where I learned like other little sneaky things and a lot of other things I could take advantage of, which I did in here. Like getting a piece from the satellite, hooking up to the satellite out in space. Now whenever the nightmare spawns in the level, I can either send him away or bring him to me. I want to bring him to me so I can kill him, so I can gather the valuable Typhon material. I went back to the Neuromod division to deactivate the revocation of the Neuromod's plans, Neuromod fabrication plans. to stop that from being discontinued, so I can continuously make neuromods. Other than going in further in the game, getting the plans, fabricate about like 5, and then learn, hey, guess what? Now you can't do it anymore unless you go back to this before you. Now you can't do it anymore unless you go back to the beginning stage that you started at and re-enable it. But it's like, because I knew that would happen, I got and did it ahead of time. And at that point, you would you learn enemies that you would not normally have learned about, like the Technopath that has the ability to hijack any technology that's in the general facility, which is a giant pain in the ass if you don't know it's there, or when it's gotta come up. Because I've said this before, I've set up like turrets, and all of a sudden that thing shows up, and it's like, shit, now I'm being reined in with bullets. Another reason why I went and grabbed Combat Focus, because that thing, it may not sound good at first, but if you max that baby out, boom, nothing can touch you. You move, everything is slowed down, you move like it's normal, you deal twice the amount of damage, boom, 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 everything dies before they even have a chance to even hit you once. It is so powerful. Like, you don't need, like you don't even need any of the Typhon abilities, which is the purest run, where you don't take any Typhon abilities and you just go with humans. The human abilities are the most useful. The Typhon are just so you can mindfuck the game, in a sense. Because, like, you can do a lot of cool shit with the Typhon abilities, but it's just like, you don't really need them. They're just there for the fun of it. I guess there is like a Typhon run where you don't grab any of the human abilities, but it's just like, if you don't grab any of the human abilities, you're gonna find it very difficult at that first stage where you don't have any of the Typhon abilities. And also, you need to scan the Typhon so you can unlock those abilities, so it's like, it makes it harder for you to unlock further stages of the ability if you can't find the Typhon to scan. So, all that and such. But it's just like, the game is still very fascinating. There's still a lot of things to learn in like terms of plot and things, but if you want to learn that, watch like more videos and stuff on YouTube, or get the game and play it yourself and dig. Look everywhere. Find the very interesting tidbits of information, find like all the records and things, scan all the Typhon, learn stuff, and it's just like, it's very fascinating. But that's gotta be the end for me. Not unless they release a sequel for this, which I doubt. They didn't really set it up for a sequel. Again, the end choice of either killing Alex and all the operators, or joining him, kind of makes it difficult to set up a sequel game. Not unless it's a complete, like, not unless it's like further down the timeline where the Typhon and humans have actually like joined together, but it's just like, at that point, what's the antagonist? What's gonna be the plot? And it's just like, it makes it very difficult. So it's like, I doubt there'll be like a continuation. Like, the best continuation that they got is Moon Crash, where again, you go into a simulation where you're on the moon and trying to survive, trying to escape the moon, when the Typhon are practically everywhere and trying to kill you, and the only way you get resources is by doing the simulation over and over and over again, because when you lose a simulation and go back into it, you still have everything that you would have had, and now you're back at the beginning of it. So it's basically doing a new game plus, as in this. My new game plus in this scenario just makes the game harder, which is why I just chose to do new game. But yeah, that's gonna be all for today. Again, this game is very fascinating. If you want to learn the deeper secrets, play it yourself, or look up the actual videos that actually care. I didn't really care about going into it, mainly because I already played it and found everything, and it's long and drooling. There's a lot of stuff to do. So if I was playing this for the first time on stream, I would have done that, It would have been very fascinating to learn all this shit, but it's like, since I've already learned it, I didn't care to do it. So